Hey there! I know it's Sunday, but it's Friday Finance 15 on Sunday. Today we are going to talk about credit scores. And forgive the background noise, forgive the background place. I'm traveling, but I wanted to make sure that I got this in before the weekend ended. Because one of the things that almost all of us have come across is a question. At some point, we've needed to know what our credit score was. Either we're buying a car, we're buying a house, we need a credit card, we're starting a business, whatever it is, we need to know what our credit score is. So one of the things that also happens for kids just getting out of college is they have to actually establish a credit score right out of the gate because they haven't ever had credit before. So I'm just going to give a couple of tips today. We're sticking to one question for Friday Finance 15 on Sunday. And it's going to be about what things affect your credit score and what are some things you can do to improve your credit score if you're not happy with it. So first of all, a little background, and I actually have brought up some numbers here because I want to make sure I quote you the right things right now because things shift a little bit every now and then. But there are pretty much 5 components that make up your credit score. And they're all important, but they're weighted differently. Okay, so the very most important thing that you can do with your credit score, if you're already established, is have a great payment history. Really, that you want an impeccable payment history on car loans, on mortgages, on credit cards. You want to be paying that stuff, every one of those bills on time. Now, if you're 2 or 3 days late, it's no big deal. But you do want to make sure that you're not more than 10 days late or that you go longer than that. So for kids just getting out of college, go ahead and get yourself one credit card and prove that you can pay that thing constantly on time every single month. Now, there's a wives' tale out there that every now and then you should leave a balance on that card just to prove that you will roll a balance and pay it off. But really, the only thing that they're looking at is, do you have debt and are you paying all of it on time? So the biggest thing you can do to help yourself is never pay something late. Okay, so that's the first thing. That's worth 35% of your credit score. The second thing is the amounts that you owe. Okay, so they have something, there's this thing called credit utilization. And what they do is they look at your total available credit. So if you have 2 credit cards and one of them has a $10,000 limit and one of them has a $20,000 limit, you have $30,000 of available credit. And what they want to do is make sure that you never at one point in time have more than 30% of that utilized, or on a regular basis that you don't have more than 30% of that utilized. So it's good to have a credit card. And if you have a credit card, and if you can do this, it's good to keep that balance on all of your credit cards below 30% of your total credit availability. Let me just run through that again, and let's just make it an easy example. If you have one credit card and it's got a $10,000 credit limit on it, what you want to do is make sure that you, on an average, keep $3,000 or less on that card. So if you pay it off every month, your utilization will be 0, and that's fine. But if you do let some balances roll, just make sure that try to make sure that more than 30% of your total available credit doesn't roll like that from month to month to month. Okay, the next thing is length of credit history. So kids coming out of college, not much we can do with this here except to say, get that credit card set up, get yourself a car loan. If your parents are co-signing for a loan and are helping you get a loan for something, go ahead and get it in your name with your parents co-signing. That starts to build your own personal credit history. But length of credit counts for 15%. I should have mentioned the amounts, that credit utilization piece that I just talked about, that accounts for about 30% of your credit score. So that's why that's almost as important as that pay your bills on time thing that I just mentioned, because those two together make up 65% of your score. This next chunk, the length of credit history, is 15%. So a couple things. If you're just starting out and you open up over time a couple of credit cards, don't necessarily hasten to shut the first one down, even if you don't intend to use it, for a couple of reasons. The longer you have that card, the better. And I'll just give you an example. We've had our Discover card now for almost 30 years. That length of credit history looks good. So whether you use the card or not, if you've only got one or two, or you stop using one because you like one better, it gets you better points or cash back or whatever, go ahead and keep that first one open. Just don't use it, because you'll continue to have that accumulate as credit history for you. Now, by this, I don't mean open 10 cards and keep them all open for 10 years. I don't mean that at all. I just mean they like to show that you have some long-term relationships with some credit cards. Okay, so those three things together are 35%, 30%, and 15%. So if you do the math on that, that is 80% of your credit score is derived by those three things. Let me go over them. Pay your bills on time. If you keep a rolling balance, make it less than 30% of your total credit that's available, if you can. And go ahead and get yourself a nice credit history with one or two credit cards so that you stay with them for a long time. Okay, next couple things are 10% each. And they're minor, and you kind of can't do too much about them. When you need a car loan, you need a car loan. You need a mortgage, you need a mortgage. But it's how often you're trying to get new credit. So it keeps track of how many times your credit score is looked at for new credit. And then it keeps track of your credit mix, like how much of your stuff is credit card versus something that might have an asset behind it, like a car loan or a home loan. So it looks at that mix just to make sure you got a pretty good balance. So those are the 5 components. So coming out of college, you're kind of at a disadvantage. But if when you go into college, you can get one of those credit cards just as you start college. I think Discover's got a good one. Oh, tip I learned from my daughter is Nerd Wallet. If you have questions, if you're going into college, if you're in your senior year in high school, just getting ready to start college, if you're partway through your college career, go ahead and go to Nerd Wallet and pick like the best credit card for somebody with no credit yet. And they'll walk you through whatever the best credit card is this month for that. And just get it, whether you use it or not. Just go ahead and get it, because you're going to start to establish that credit history. If there are a couple of things you can put on that card and make sure you pay it off every month, all of that's going to gain you traction so that once you graduate from college, you're all set. When your first landlord goes to look at your credit record or your credit score, they'll see something there. When you go to get your first car, they'll see something there. It takes a while to build it up, but definitely worth focusing on, because in a lot of cases, we want to use other people's money for things instead of our own, especially if it makes sense. That's a whole nother topic for another day, but just wanted to get that out on the table because I get that question a lot. And then last summer when we had all those awesome college grads living with us during COVID, this is one of the biggest things on their plate is how do I establish my credit history or my credit score? And those 5 things I hope help you out. I'll run through them one more time. Pay your bills on time. Make sure that if you have a rolling balance, you keep it under 30%. Best to pay it off in total each month if you can. Then you want to do that. If you have a card, keep it open for a long time. Pick the one you like the most. Just keep it open forever. The longer you have it, the better. Don't ping for new credit cards all the time. Like if you ping to get these 0 interest credit cards over and over and over and over again, that's just going to hit your credit score and worsen it. And then finally, if you have a good mix, and this comes with time of, home lending, car lending, and credit cards, they like to see that as well. Most important ones are those first 2. So I hope you have a great week. Forgive me for doing Friday 15 on Sunday. And I look forward to hitting you up again next Friday with the next question. And again, drop them in the group if you have them, because I have a running list of these questions. As we get them, we're putting them on the end and making sure that we address them. So hope you all have a great coming up week. Y'all take care now.